Sustainability. It's a popular buzzword of the 21st century. The United Nations defines sustainability as meeting the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. So, what is the most sustainable plant milk on the market today? It's an important question. The answer is something that we should all be concerned with, and the production of sustainable food products must be among the first strategies we consider for reversing climate change and reforming our civilizations so that they may scale into the future. Now, since you're spending your valuable time watching this video, I'll assume that you're already aware of the environmental emergencies that have been correctly affiliated with dairy products and the ongoing consumption of cow's milk. Now, while the ethical reasons to avoid dairy are well defined and plain to see, this video is concerned with environmentalism and sustainability. Therefore, I needn't mention that while some of these milks are more environmentally friendly and sustainable than others, they are all more sustainable and healthier for the planet than industrialized dairy farming and the products that are generated by said practices. Now, with that out of the way, let's begin by analyzing 10 of the most popular plant milks on the market and listing them in descending order in terms of their agricultural sustainability. At number 10, it's milk derived from a crop having one of the longest histories of domestication. It's rice milk.
Because rice is grown in flooded marshes and paddies, it is more susceptible to waterborne contaminants than any other crop on this list. This does not mean, however, that rice is inherently contaminated with arsenic or other elements toxic to the human body, just that it's more susceptible to them. Rice is a victim of environmental contamination and not necessarily a cause for it. Modern methods, however, do undeniably cause pollution of ecosystems around the world. Because rice is one of the oldest crops cultivated by humans and has fed our generations longer than any other plant on this list, that also means it is one of the most denatured due to domestication and, more recently, genetic modification. Industrial rice cultivation uses a great deal of water, compost, and fertilizers, which in many cases results in the fecal matter from animal waste permeating the areas surrounding the paddy fields as the fertilizers are introduced directly into the groundwater. Traditional land preparation for rice fields, while greener, is very labor-intensive. Rice requires a specific environment to thrive, which means significant tilling and weed management is necessary to cultivate it. In certain areas of the world where rice grows indigenously, the plants receive rainfall necessary to maintain ideal moisture levels, which does make rice production more sustainable. But rice is also very susceptible to infestation by insects, so a great many pesticides are used worldwide to ensure high crop yields. With rice, pesticides are particularly problematic because the poisons are absorbed directly into our water supply, which amplifies the contamination. Compared to other crops on this list, rice production is very high upkeep and the process does not add value to other crops in a cycle. Rice farming is easily the most toxic operation on this list, which has a cumulative effect on natural ecosystems, damaging the environment for future generations.
At number 9, it's the original plant milk that's been in production in China for over 2,000 years. They call it dujiang. It's soy milk.
Soybeans are easily one of the most nutritious plants on Earth, which is why animal agriculture is so heavily dependent upon the crop for livestock feed. This is also the reason why soy has been so genetically modified in recent history. While it's true that soy fields are responsible for an appalling and unprecedented level of deforestation, the overwhelming majority of soybeans on Earth today are fed to livestock to fuel the meat and dairy industries. Most of the environmental scrutiny that befalls soy production can be attributed to the meat and dairy industries, but if we were to put an end to livestock practices altogether, growing soy for our direct nutrition needs would still be far more environmentally destructive than other options on this list. The nutritional density of the beans comes at a cost. The plants occupy a lot of space, they use a lot of water, and they extract a lot of nutrients from the soil. They're also annual, so they die after one growing season, which means great resources are expended to keep production of soy regular, and soil is grievously disturbed by this practice. Soy products originating from South America have a catastrophic impact on biodiversity in the region. In short, the easiest solution to combat destruction of natural habitats of this nature as a consumer is to purchase soy products that are grown in the EU or United States, which have a super low carbon footprint by comparison. Agricultural deforestation has got to stop now. And this is not a matter of legislation or government, it's a matter of demand. We must stop funding the industries that are burning down the Earth's lungs, and sadly, the purchase of soy milk indirectly contributes to this problem today. It's important not to vilify soybeans, but it's also important to understand the reality of what's happening with our agricultural systems worldwide. If you want to help to save the Amazon for future generations, the best way to do that is to stop purchasing meat and dairy products.
Number 8 is the most popular plant milk today by far, and it's enshrouded in controversy. Almond milk.
It's purported that today, some 80% of the world's almonds are grown in the state of California. The main criticism of almond milk is that almond trees are extremely thirsty, and that approximately 16 gallons of water are needed to produce just 15 almonds. In truth, almond trees consume about as much water as most other fruit and nut trees, and that's not just the case in California, that's all over the world. Almond farms have been blamed for California's severe droughts in recent history, but it's important to note that animal products consume exponentially more water than any crop, including almonds. To put things in perspective, 23 almonds require approximately 25 gallons of water, which is less water demand than a cup of potato, an ear of corn, much less than a cup of coffee, and far, far less than a single ounce of chocolate. It's obvious that dairy industry propaganda is largely to blame for the recent vilification of almonds. The real problem with almonds' strain on available resources is the fact that most of the world's supply is being grown in a desert where groundwater is being pumped dry to produce this extremely profitable crop, among others. This is irresponsible agriculture and poor infrastructural management by the state of California, not a problem with almonds. The greater problem facing almond production is in fact the wide array of pesticides that are used on the trees to keep them as productive as possible. Some of these pesticides are lethal to honeybees and other pollinators, which is a much greater concern for future generations. To solve the water issues, we simply need to grow almonds in parts of the world where rainfall is more abundant, like Northwest America. Almond farms have recently begun in Washington state, where the water demands from almond trees are of no concern at all.
Number 7 is the most popular nut in the Western world. It's milk made from cashews.
Cashews are the most widely consumed nut by the Western world. Because the trees grow in the tropic and subtropic regions of the world, most of our supply is grown in India, Nigeria, and Vietnam. The sustainability of cashew production is one of the more difficult to gauge compared to the other plants on this list. The trees drink less water than other nuts like almonds, and because they grow in more humid areas of the world, water consumption for cashew milk is not a concern. The use of pesticides is a different issue entirely. It is apparent, however, that pesticide use on cashew trees is not essential at all, because the leaves of the cashew tree secrete a high-energy milk-like substance that is coveted by certain species of ants. In nature, ants congregate on the trees and fight off other insects in order to maintain this valuable territory. Thankfully, the ants are not interested in the cashew apple, which is what we humans are after. While cashews do appear to be rather sustainable, they're grown almost entirely in monocultures, which does harm the biodiversity of our tropical regions. The economic problems associated with cashew farming are very substantial, but those problems are not of an environmental or sustainability nature.
Number 6 is a lesser-known milk, but loaded with benefits. It's milk derived from flax seeds.
Flax is a versatile crop that has adapted well to the grassland regions of the world, meaning it can grow in the majority of the world's land masses. The root systems of this crop are particularly shallow, which means that they do not deplete a field of its groundwater reservoirs or available nitrogen stores. In order to gain maximum yield from a field of flax, fertilizers are in most cases necessary, but they can be sowed strategically in a rotation to alleviate or even eliminate the need for fertilization. When cultivated intelligently, flax is definitely a sustainable crop with low environmental impact, and the byproducts from these seeds can be particularly useful. Flax oil is invaluable in the production of paints, varnishes, linoleum, printing ink, weatherproof clothing, and treatments for woods and plastics. New research shows that flax can replace many dirty products that are currently used in the construction industry. Flax oil-derived products are obviously far more sustainable than their fossil fuel counterparts, and they biodegrade easily, making them much healthier for our environment. Flax is a standout option to bolster the sustainability for our entire civilization going forward.
Number 5 is a milk that's blowing up in popularity right now, making its way into every known coffee shop. It's oat milk.
Adding oats to a crop rotation greatly reduces the need for chemical insecticides because oat fields fight some of the most prevalent pests that are common to industrial crops. Oats also develop a dense cover that shades weeds. The weed-suppressing effects of oats carry over to the following rotation, making them also a natural herbicide when used as a companion crop or when sowed in fields to keep weed populations down. This means we don't need to use many herbicides, if any at all, where oats are grown, which prevents contamination of surface and groundwaters. Oats also extract far fewer soil nutrients than other popular crops, which greatly reduces the need for fertilizers in order to maintain high yields. Oats also require far less water than most crops. Because they are a cover crop and they protect fertile soils from erosive wind and water, fields of oats leave farmlands in nearly pristine condition. Planting oats requires very little tilling, which leaves the nutrient-dense layers of soil undisturbed, which keeps carbon contained beneath the surface and out of the atmosphere. Crops that have been introduced to fields previously occupied by oats, like corn, the most commonly grown crop in the United States, show much greater yield due to the soil preservation properties of oat fields. Additionally, oat hulls, the husks that are produced after the plants have been milled for food, are an extremely valuable resource as they have the same energy potential as coal. Oat hulls can generate very significant amounts of electricity and are currently powering several large Midwestern universities and tens of thousands of homes.
Number 4, it's milk derived from one of the most allergenic plants on the earth, peanut milk.
Peanuts are growing in popularity for farmers all over the world. The reasons are obvious. Legumes like this are extremely nutritious and are one of the easiest ways to combat malnutrition in poverty-stricken areas of the world. As a crop, peanuts have unique properties making them particularly sustainable. Peanut plants have the ability to withdraw nitrogen from the atmosphere instead of the soil. In fact, they extract more than they need and then they store the excess nitrogen in the ground. This means that when added to a crop rotation in fields where nitrogen is in high demand, like with soy, rice, corn, and most other crops, very few, if any, fertilizers are needed for the following crop. It's been theorized by the National Peanut Board and other agricultural organizations that peanuts can be grown in perpetuity given the right soil types. Peanuts are very drought resistant and they can survive heavy rains as well, given that their soil contains enough sand. Most of the peanuts in North America can be sustained on rainwaters alone, though irrigation is required to ensure ideal productivity. Generally, peanuts are easy to grow and they require little nutrition from the soil, and they reduce strain on our agricultural systems by fertilizing our fields for high-demand crops that follow their cultivation in a crop cycle.
At number 3, it's the plant-based protein of the future. It's milk derived from pea milk.
Like peanuts, peas share the unique ability to extract nitrogen from the atmosphere, eliminating the need for fertilization, which is a prime contributor to greenhouse gas emissions in agriculture. In fact, peas and peanuts provide very similar benefits to agriculture, the key difference being that peanuts grow underground and peas above ground. Though peas do perform better in colder climates, making them more adaptable worldwide. In some cases, peas are capable of growing straight through winter months, restoring soil nutrition and producing some of the most nutritious plant food available. This means peas are improving soil health during the winter when fields would otherwise be recovering. The roots of the pea plant bolster many varieties of soil organisms that break down nutrition. They also eradicate disease-causing bacteria and fungi, largely eliminating the need for fungicides in fields where peas have grown. Notably, peas require very little water, about 85% less than almonds. Peas are one of the most viable protein sources for future generations, and the main reason we've listed it as being more sustainable than peanut milk is because we don't appear to have a rampant allergy to peas, which, in the case of peanuts, is in some cases deadly. We still don't know what it is about peanuts that causes the body to react in this way. Because peas don't have this trait, that means public schools and similar settings can carry pea milk instead of cow milk, while the same would not be true for peanuts. While soy allergies are on the rise and sustainability concerns are becoming more mainstream, pea protein is clean, sustainable, and low cost.
Our number 2 most sustainable plant milk on the market comes from a tree that you really don't want to stand under. It's coconut milk.
Coconuts grow in the tropical regions of the world like the Philippines, Sri Lanka, Thailand, and the Pacific. They don't require pesticides because the fruit of the tree is armored and impermeable. Coconuts also don't require fertilizers, although they are commonly used to improve crop yields. They do, however, negatively affect biodiversity in tropical regions when grown as an industrial crop. Coconut trees sequester a lot of carbon, which means by growing coconuts, we extract CO2 from the atmosphere and store it within the trees themselves and in the ground. Coconut products are already in high demand throughout many industries in the 21st century, and being restricted to the tropical regions of the world, it is not possible for coconuts to meet the milk demands of today by themselves. It's important to note that because most of the world's milk consumers do not live in the tropics, very significant shipping costs are incurred when moving the fruit first to factories for processing, then to stores, and then finally into your refrigerator. So until our transportation methods are emission-free, the sustainability of coconut milk will not be fully actualized. The purchase of coconut milk is very low on the environmental destruction spectrum, and it is a viable alternative to today's dominant products. It would not be fair to say, however, that coconut trees alone are a solution to our milk demands.
And at number 1, the prohibition of this crop has caused incalculable damage to our environment because this plant is so useful. It's milk derived from hemp.
Hemp grows so quickly and so abundantly that weeds are unable to compete for the space. This is because hemp grows faster than the weeds, so herbicides are not necessary at all. Hemp does not require fertilization at all. Hemp also doesn't require any pesticide use at all. The taproot, or the main root of the hemp plant, is extraordinarily long, so it's able to reach deep underground and access groundwater reservoirs by itself, eliminating the need for irrigation. This deep root system can also peacefully access nutrients that are hidden beneath the soil that no other industrial crops can reach. On top of all this, the fields require little water to begin with, meaning that in most regions of the world, hemp can survive and thrive on rainwaters alone. Hemp grows in more areas on planet Earth than virtually any other domesticated plant. It can be added to any crop rotation, and it improves the productivity of the following cycle. Hemp sequesters more carbon out of the atmosphere than any other known plant, which means it's the most powerful tool we have at our disposal to reverse the effects of climate change. 1 hectare of industrial hemp can absorb 22 tons of CO2, and we can grow 2 crops per year, doubling that absorption. Hemp is special because, more than other plants, it uses carbon in the air as its primary source of nutrition, meaning that it doesn't pull nitrogen out of the soil, and it converts CO2 to oxygen, filtering our atmosphere as it grows. Not only are the seeds used to create hemp milk an extremely nutritious food source, but byproducts generated from hemp farming have the potential to revolutionize our building methods worldwide. The stems from hemp can be hulled, and when mixed with lime and water, hempcrete can be produced. Unlike every other building material used by the construction industry today, hempcrete has a negative carbon footprint. First, as the hemp grew, it removed CO2 from the atmosphere. Then, as the wall transforms into limestone over thousands of years, it continually sequesters carbon. This means that structures made using hempcrete remove greenhouse gases from the air for thousands of years, helping to prevent Earth from transforming into its sister planet, Venus. That is the very essence of sustainability. Hempcrete walls also eliminate the need for environmentally destructive insulation materials used in housing today. Industrial hemp can also be used to create biodegradable plastics, which, frankly, have otherworldly properties we still don't fully understand. We could replace oil-based plastics that are destroying the oceans and the rest of the environment by taking millions of years to biodegrade with hemp plastic entirely this century. In addition to revolutionizing the construction and plastic industries, industrial hemp can be used to create biodegradable clothing and useful fabrics. Each year, the United States alone throws away 26 billion pounds of clothing into landfills, and the waste is growing. Today's fashion industry is among the most destructive on Earth. Hemp fabric is healthy for the environment, and after we're done wearing it, the fabric can be transformed into fertilizer. Flowers from hemp produce the cannabinoid CBD, which has a great many medicinal applications, including unique anti-cancer properties. Hemp can also be used for cosmetics, composite boards, biodiesel, biofuel, and more uses are still being discovered. Milk from hemp seeds is only one benefit gained from our civilization growing industrial hemp. In its entirety, hemp milk is easily the most sustainable and beneficial option on this list, and it would not be an exaggeration to say that hemp fields can save the world. Honorable mentions for other viable and nutritious plant milks that didn't make this list due to their popularity are hazelnut milk, pecan milk, and macadamia milk. All three nuts grow on trees that have unique properties of their own and are more or less as sustainable as almonds and cashews. It's important, as always, to consider the environmental waste created by packaging materials and transportation of goods. That's why, if you'd like to be as sustainable as possible, the best scenario is for you to make your own plant milk to eliminate disposable packaging and keep transportation costs as low as possible. You can also support products and businesses that utilize reusable packaging in the form of glass bottles or other alternatives that are part of an upcycling program.
It's important to remember that each of the milks mentioned in this video have differing nutritional profiles, and they are not all equally capable of sustaining the nutritional needs of the human population. To see the video focused on the nutrition rankings of these various milks, click the on-screen link now. Also remember to subscribe to Proto-Vegan and enable notifications on YouTube so that you're informed when we publish new videos. Visit protovegan.com to stay connected to the latest happenings in the plant-based community, and share this video with your friends so we can help Earth recover from the environmental impacts of our presence and ensure a healthy world for our descendants. Take care of yourself, my friends.